to the BAM Pod. All right, welcome in everybody to the BAM Pod. I'm your host, Big Ed, and on the line today we have got Jim Vretzos. He is coming to us, from the new BAM Trail out there. He finished up his first season. He didn't have the year that he wanted, but you know what? The knowledge and the skill that it took for him to get there in general just proves that he is one of the top anglers in the whole West Coast. Jim, welcome to the show, my friend.
What's going on, Big Ed?
We're sitting here, we're watching the rain come down. We're in Northern California. Lakes are filling back up, but it's wintertime, dude. It's cold out there. It's not great. We just had the holidays, so Merry Christmas to everyone out there. We've got New Year's coming up. Have a happy, safe New Year out there, Jim.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
This is the time of year that people get a little afraid of going out and fishing. It's cold, it's wet, it's nasty out there. The wind can come up. It can be, you know, uncomfortable. And when I first talked to you about going out and fishing and what you like to do the most, one of the baits that you said, and it's the one we're gonna, just spend some time on, and that's the A rig. You said I love A rig fishing, and that is one of those baits that I've talked to other pros. I've talked to guys, coming up, guys going out, and the A rig is a bait that I've had some great success with. I know you've had some great success with. But it is a bait that really either confuses people, they don't understand how to fish it, they don't exactly know what to do with it as far as how to, rig it or address it or, what the rules are with it and that sort of thing. So I'm hoping that today you can help us break that down and take some of the mystique off of the A rig because I know you're the guy that can do it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely got some tricks to it as far as when you can throw it, or I should say, how many hooks you can run on it in different states. So it's got a lot of, as far as legal things, throwing. If you want to throw 3 hooks, you can do it in California. In Arizona, you can do 2 hooks, so forth. And if any particular tournament might have, or organization might say, hey, you can only throw a 5-wire A rig versus a 6-wire or an 8-wire. So
Wow.
there's all kinds of little nuances that you got to make sure you got covered through the rules and in your state. So yeah, but it's that bait is phenomenal when the bite's on. It can load the boat up pretty quick. So I really enjoy throwing it.
Now, when people look at that, I guess I guess what they look at is, there's all these baits, like you just said, there's 6-wire, 7-wire, 8 wires. Not, I've seen some pretty intense, pretty I guess just crazy looking, A rigs going out there. Picasso makes one. It's like the school or something like that, and it's a huge, huge A rig. Just this thing's just got flashers and wires and everything off it. Now, I guess let's start with that. When someone, people go out and they hear, oh, you got to throw the lightest line you can because fish are line shy, and then you go out there and you throw this thing that looks just absolutely like it breaks that rule completely, right? There is no line shy with an A rig. I mean, you're using heavy gauge wire that's on there. You're using some stuff that fish can definitely see it if they're looking at it, right? So does that break down some of that? I guess mystique to the whole line shy thing, or is it just that they are focused on those baits that are on there? Or I mean, how is it that fish eat this thing? There's no reason for it, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. You look at it like if it's out of the water, you're going, geez, there's 5 wires and just all kinds of stuff coming off of it, and or 6 wires or 8 wires or whatever you're throwing. But I don't. When the fish are on bait
Hmm.
and they're chasing bait, I don't think it matters, to be honest with you. as far as the movement, like if you go with a lighter gauge wire, that'll make the the bait pop a little bit more. Or
Hmm.
um, but as far as the gauge wire, as far as them being line shy from it, I don't think so. I mean, you want to throw it typically in more maybe dirty water. I mean, when the wind's picked up a little bit. I mean, I throw it at Lake Mojave, and it's gets bit all the time. You throw it at Havasu, gets bit all the time. So that water is pretty clear at most of the places there. But yeah, if it benefits if you throw it in kind of like maybe dingier water. When the wind's picked up a little bit, I like to throw it.
It's just like some of what you just said right now. Right now, we're sitting, and again, it's cold, it's rainy, it's wet, it's nasty. But you just talked about throwing it all the time at Mojave, throwing it at all these different bodies of water. I see guys throwing it in the summer. I mean, we were up on the Columbia River, guys were throwing it up there. Um, is it I think when it came out, I feel like when it came out, it had the nostalgia of being this cold water, winter bait that really shined that time of year. But you're kind of saying that it works all year round. And I'm kind of what is your favorite time of year though? And does it work all year long?
In my opinion, it can work all year long. Yeah, and it depends on the body of water where you're at.
Hmm.
However, I like throwing it like probably from October to like up here at Lake Folsom. I'll throw it from October all the way to spawn
Okay.
um, through March. I mean, but I do throw it kind of all, like when we were at Boardman,
Right.
on the Columbia, I threw it there, and that was in June, July. So um, I think, in my opinion, you can throw it at any time. Depends what the fish are doing, but it's it catches them, and you put it in front of their face, and you got a school of you know 3 to 5 baits coming by them versus one. If
Right.
they're chasing bait, they're going to eat it.
Yeah, because that's like I said, we're down in Martinez. They're throwing the Colorado River, and it's one of those things that's like that water is crystal clear, and there were guys throwing it down there. Then, like you just said, we go up to the Columbia River, and guys are throwing it up there, and that water was pretty clear up there. That was some nice water too. Um, and now you're talking about some of these, and you're talking about some of these clear lakes, and I think it's really interesting because I kind of believe the way you just like you said earlier, it's like throwing it in dingier water, throwing it in colder water early in the year. Now, don't get me wrong, Martinez was pretty early in the year that they were fishing down there, but it was also pretty warm down there. So
Right.
it's just one of those things. It's like, I don't know. It's just one of those baits that I think has a true mystique on it. Is there, I see guys throwing it with flashers. I see guys throwing it with, different things. Three baits, 27 flashers on it, three baits with three flashers on it. Does that make a difference? Does color make a difference? What is it if you're talking to somebody who's never picked that up and is just like, I just can't bring myself to throw that. What do you tell them to give them the confidence to go out there and try that thing, besides the fact that it just catches monsters?
I would say just keep it simple. To me, I never throw anything more than a 5 wire or 6 wire. And then if I need to cut a wire, I can clip a wire off or something like that.
Hmm.
But as far as blades, I usually go with the silver blades. I haven't thrown any with the gold blades. I heard the gold blades do good. I don't think it really matters.
Hmm.
Um, that's just my opinion. But I usually, I tell them to keep it simple. And it's just like, I mean, when it first came out, I was like, what do you do with this thing? You just
Hmm.
throw it out there and just reel it in. And when I first started throwing it, it was, I'd cast out and I'd let it hit the bottom and then get it hung up. Well, now with, your forward facing sonar, you can, I mean, for example, I was at Lake Havasu and I was fishing over some cages and I couldn't even really see the fish on my forward facing sonar, but I was trying to get it over the cage to see if I can get a reaction bite, see if any fish come out of those cages.
Hmm.
And I throw it way past the cage, slowly reel it up the cage, and all of a sudden you see, well, bam, you got 2 fish coming after it and just smash it. But, you got to play with it. I like to fish it. I like to cast it as far as I can over points or on some flats. And and just slow roll it and, off the bottom and, wait for that bite. That bite is so fun.
Yeah, is it, and let me ask you that part. Is it a bite that is just a crushing bite? Is it a slow pickup? What is it that, I mean, when I first started throwing that thing, I thought, man, I am gonna get hammered. This thing's gonna get just slammed. If they're gonna come eat this, they're gonna eat it, just crazy. Has that been the way they bite for you, or what is it that you feel?
I mean, there's many times where I feel as if it's just kind of like you can feel it like, loading up a little bit, but then there's some times where it just knocked like 5 feet of slack in your line. For example, Clear Lake. I throw it at Clear Lake a lot. And I mean, the last time I threw it, I think it was on an MLF up
Mhm.
there over, I believe it was a spring. And I remember getting just 5 feet of slack line, just boom. And I set the hook 5 pounder, but yeah, I
Mhm.
think when they want it, they'll crush it. And it's kind of a bone crushing effect. It's nice. It's super fun to throw, in my opinion. And, you got, if that bite is on for me, I don't mind throwing it for 8 hours in a tournament
Wow.
if it's on. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's funny because that's the question I was going to probably ask you next is when do you give up on it? Because guys are going to be out there, and it's kind of funny. This year I heard this new thing that I guess they're talking about. It's like February, the second week of February is called Quitters Week, right? So it's when everybody gives up on their New Year's resolutions and that sort of thing and goes back to regular life. But when I think about an A rig and I think about someone going out there and going, man, I want to throw this. I need to throw this thing. I see guys catch it, catch good fish on it. And when do you just go, you know what, this bite's just not happening? It's not on. Is it, are you an hour into it? Are you a half hour into it? Are you 10 minutes? I mean, is it like if it's on, it's on and you'll know it right away?
Yeah. I sometimes I try and stretch it out and go,
Mhm.
okay, they're going to eventually hit it. They're going to eventually hit it. And sometimes it doesn't happen. So it's all about your decision making. And for me, it's for example, Lake Almanor when we fished the
Mhm.
BAM tour there, and I've never been there, didn't get to practice there, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go see, just in the morning, I'm going to go throw the A rig a little bit and see if I can get bit. If I get bit on that, it's going to be on. Well, like 3 casts into my first stop, it's like boom, 3 pounder, and I'm like, oh, geez, okay. So I continued throwing it, and eventually I got like 4 in the boat on the first day.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty quick, but then it started tapering off, and I look at the stats on Tourney X, and I'm like going, okay, now I'm falling behind, and I'm like, okay, it's the A rig's not working, so um, I had to switch things up, and each day I started with the A rig, I'd catch a fish, but then it was kind of tough to catch more. So I had to put it down. I had to make that decision and be like, okay, I got to switch things up a little bit, maybe try finesse now and go from there. But yeah, I try and stick with it, but you got to know when to put it down. If it slows down to where you're not getting bites like consistently, then I'm
Mhm.
going to put it down.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
it's just one of those things that it's like as you feel for the day. If you go out and you throw that thing around for an hour or 45 minutes or whatever, and you're just like, I am not getting touched, I'm not getting looked at. If you've got forward facing sonar, and it's like they're not chasing it. Maybe it's time to check into something else, try a different bait. And that kind of leads me to one of those things. We're not going to leave the A rig, but this is a time of year from now until I want to say mid-April, May, somewhere in that range where guys, go out and I don't want I say guys, but it's like people go out and they catch monsters this time of year. This is the time of year when you're focusing in on big fish. Not to put words in your mouth, but this is when you're looking for big fish, right?
right,
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
we when we go out and we think about this, I think about this time of year as man, I this is when I want to be out there slinging big baits, catching big fish, and this is when they're going to eat. The A rig is one of those ones. For me, it's been a really good big fish bait. I've caught a lot of good fish. I've got my personal best on this at over 11 pounds on this thing. I love that bait. I think it's fun to throw. I think, when we brought this topic up when we were going to talk about A rigs, I was like, I want to hear what Jim has to say about it and how he fishes it. Um,
Yeah.
some of the things I look at is what's that what is that next bait that you really look at this time of year, when you're looking for those big fish, is there something else that you go, this is the other one that catches big fish a lot?
Um, I would say, gosh, I would say a swim bait, but at the
Okay.
same time, it's like I'm not a professional swim bait thrower.
Right.
However, I'm trying to dabble a little bit in that and practice it more and get comfortable with it. And so I would say swim bait. Um,
Okay. Now when you're
yeah,
talking swim bait, because you got the A rig out there, and that thing's got, four, three, four, five, swim baits on it. And that's another question I'll ask you to go back to that a little bit. Is what is that? Do you have a magic bait that you put on there? Is there something that you've just gone, you know what, this thing just works amazing on there? And this is what I would recommend people throw. Tell a new fish story with Garmin EchoMap Ultra 2 chart plotters in 10 and 12-inch models featuring traditional clear view, side view sonar. Heard about Garmin's live scope, live scanning sonar? EchoMap Ultra 2 is compatible with that also. You can even capture your favorite and best fish catches with the new screen recording feature. What more could you want? How about built-in Garmin Navionics, inland and coastal mapping? Wireless networking? Check and check. EchoMap Ultra 2. Check it out at garmin.com or shop your local Garmin dealer.
as far as on the A rig, I'll throw. It's typically a Kitech
Okay.
Tennessee shad. I'll go with Tennessee shad probably most of the time, like 90% of the time. I'm throwing a Tennessee shad in 3/8 or 3/3. And then if I need to, I'll maybe dye the tails chartreuse a little bit, get a little bit more pop in the water. I'll do that here up here in Folsom. It seems to help. Um, yeah, but as far as swim baits going,
Yeah.
I'm talking about like bigger swim baits, like a HUD or
Right.
things like that. Yeah, I'm
And that's one of those
trying to
that
kind of get
you're
better
trying
at
to
that.
earn that confidence yourself right now in that big, because I feel like we're talking about baits that I think are so uncomfortable for most people, especially when you grow up, the way you did bass fishing and fishing in general. It's like you want to match the hatch, you want to be that right size, and then you see these big, you see the A rig come out, you see the big swim baits come out, and guys are throwing 8, 10, 12-inch swim baits catching fish. um how is it that you, as a let me phrase that right, as a guy who is out there fishing on a professional level, how is it that you gain confidence in a bait? How do you get that in your mind that, what, I need to throw this because I know it's going to catch the right quality fish that I'm looking for?
Yeah, it's getting out there and just throwing it, practice. When you're out there on the lake by yourself or with a buddy fun fishing, throw it out there until you don't want to throw it anymore. I mean, just keep doing it, keep doing it. Because once you get that bite, you're going to be like, oh, it worked. And then you're going to figure it out from there. You're going to go, oh, God, okay, I got to just maybe slow roll it on the bottom and just, put it in front of their face. And it's constantly going to get bit versus like swimming at mid column or, if you see it on your forward facing sonar and you see a group of fish and, 10 feet or you're sitting in 20 feet of water, maybe you're just going to swim it, in the mid column range, and you'll get bit that way. So it's once you go out there and practice and you just keep throwing it and you get bit, you're going to keep throwing it because I mean it's a good thing. Like it's just like a jig. If you're throwing a jig and you're getting bit, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep throwing it. Now I've learned how to throw a jig or
Right.
how to what areas to throw it in and so forth. So to me, it was just a lot of practice. Like I'd go out, like I said, out here on Folsom, and I'd just I happened to pick it up one day and I'm like, okay, I'm going to throw it and see if I get bit. And next thing you know, I'm getting bit a lot. And I'm going, okay, well, I can do this every time. This is easy, but it's not that easy, but um, it's, that's how you gain kind of confidence in anything you do is you go out there and and practice it until you get it right, and then incorporate that in your game day.
Yeah, because what you just said right there is really funny because I feel like that's how whenever you're throwing anything, I started off throwing a swim bait up at Shasta, and it's like, okay, you're throwing a swim bait at Shasta. You're throwing this giant trout, and what are you going to do up there? And then guy goes up there and wrecks him and destroys everybody on a swim bait, and you're sitting out there going, man, I got to learn how to throw this thing, right? And that's what I think what you just said is just picking it up, going out and having an amazing day, or just having a day where you catch one or two kind of builds a little bit of confidence, and then you go, you know what, next time I go out, I'm gonna throw that a little bit more. When do you find how do I say this correctly? The like I think certain baits shine at certain times. Like I wouldn't throw a swim bait in July. It wouldn't be my go-to bait, but I know there are guys that do.
Right.
Um, is there a way that I think one of the mysteries I see out there is guys go, oh, this bite should be on, or that bite should be on. Oh, it's rip bait time. It's this time. It's jig time. That's a. How do you figure that out? I mean, as a professional angler, how do you kind of know and just get like I should be throwing swim baits right now. I should be throwing A rigs right now. I should be throwing this right now as the main thing because it happens time after time after time. Tournaments are won by somebody going out and going, oh, well, this is when you should be throwing rip baits. This is when you should be throwing frogs. This is when you should be throwing this. How do you get that kind of knowledge? Is it the same thing? Is it just from years of doing it, or is there some place to go find that kind of information? I'd love to let people out there know. It's like, hey, this is how a bite is going on.
Um, first thing I would say is like, for example, like the A rig, I'll have it on my deck most of the time.
Okay.
I'll have it on my boat, and I'll be like, okay, I want to see if these fish will react to it. And if I throw it a few times and I don't get bit, then I'm going to put it down and probably not throw it. But it all depends. Like, yeah, are they chasing bait? Are they stuck on the bottom and not doing anything? I think it all depends on the activity of the fish. If
Okay.
they're moving around a lot, if they're hungry, you'll notice like when you do throw that A rig, when you swim it by them, or are they chasing it? So, and if you get bit, I think that's a good thing, and then I'm going to keep throwing it.
Right.
And same with the rip bait. That's a good thing that you said. Tournaments are won like people throwing a rip bait or a swim bait. It's like I don't throw a rip bait that much, but it's like I see a lot of people doing it, and I'm like going, okay, they're doing the same thing as I'm doing with the A rig. It's like it's kind of a confidence thing. So I think I need to do with the rip bait what I do with the A rig. Like, okay, I'm going to go out there and practice it and throw it. I don't practice and throw it that much, but um, I think it's a confidence thing when you go into a lake. I think any bait can get bit at any time. I just think it's like, what's your confidence bait? Like, I'm going to go throw a rip bait all day and I'm going to catch so many fish, or am I going to throw a jig all day?
Hmm.
I think they all get bit, but, um, and it depends on what the fish are doing at that time. The weather and a lot of things have to go into place. The
Yeah.
temperature, water temperature, season, and so forth. So I think, once you throw that bait enough, you'll kind of learn like when to throw it, and it falls back on your practice. I think, in my opinion, like
Yeah.
if someone doesn't throw a rip bait at all, and throughout the year, it's like, how do you know when they're going to bite? Just like with the A rig or a jig or a Cinco. So I think that goes for any bait.
Okay, yeah. I mean that it's one of those things that, I think you said it in there the best. You go out to a tournament and you're throwing, let's say you're throwing that A rig or you're throwing that rip bait or whatever bait you've chosen that day to start with. And you go out all day and you don't catch anything. You're just like, man, I caught one fish on the A rig and I caught one fish on this, and I come in with a limit I scratched together by picking up my drop shot or a shaky
Right.
head or something like that. And you come back in and you go, and the guy that wins the tournament, he's like, oh, I threw A rigs and that's what I caught them all on. And
Yeah.
I think that's so one of those it's a little frustrating and it's a little bit of, God, did I just not give it enough time? Did I not? What did I miss? And I think picking the brain of a tournament pro, with that kind of question, you got the A rig out there. We're talking about that. It's one of those ones. It's like, how many times has that ever happened to you? It's like, so you go out, you throw your A rig all the time, and you get maybe one or two fish on it, and then you got to switch it up and catch something else. But the guy that, the wins the tournament comes in and goes, oh no, I stayed with the A rig all day, caught 5 fish, and I'm winning this tournament. Is it such a thing as it's just the area they're in, the spot they found, the school that they got onto, or is it the bait? I mean, I think that's probably a question that a lot of people ask,
Yeah.
when they go out. Is it the bait itself, or is it the area that they found?
In my opinion, I think it's the area that they found because, for example, Clear Lake, I'll go up there and,
Mhm.
there's a good chatterbait or an LV bite. And it's like you can throw it all day, everywhere. But I think it's the areas. So you'll go out there and throw a chatterbait and you'll get bit. You'll get one fish, you'll get two fish. And next thing you know, it's like the guy that won comes in and goes, yeah, I threw a chatterbait all day. And you're like, Jesus, I threw a chatterbait all day too. And I couldn't catch, I only caught two fish. Well, I believe it's more of an area thing. You find where they're migrating and you see where the fish are going. And it's like sometimes you just got to like keep moving. You can't sit there and milk a spot if there's no fish there. So, and then if you come across the right school of fish, you can load the boat up in a hurry. You got a chatterbait out there and you're just covering a lot of water. And yeah, I think it's area,
Okay.
my opinion. Some people may disagree, but like you gotta you gotta find the fish and put the bait on them because it's I think that's the most important thing is finding the fish because you can fish a whole lake and there not be any be dead water.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like most pros, talk about is, finding the fish, finding that area, finding that spot. But there are so many times when you go out and it's like, I ran over the lake, I can't find them anywhere, I don't know what's going on, and it's just one of those things. It's like, well, you're missing something obviously, and I think that's where you're talking about where practice comes in, and um being on the water more and understanding it more. And a lot of guys that go out, a lot of people that go out, I shouldn't say, I keep trying to turn myself away from saying guys. This is a sport that everybody's in nowadays, and it's great. I mean, it's great seeing all that out there, but it's one of those things where people go out and it's this, they struggle to catch fish or they struggle to do this and they come back, they listen to something, they want to hear somebody talk them and tell them about what did I miss? What did I not do? And I think it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know. You can't go,
Yeah.
you can't just see it.
Oh,
I've
I bet.
seen I've seen some stuff and some weird things happen, and I've been on Clear Lake and come back, talk to Ish, and he's just like, well, the problem was you were in a part of the water that the lake dropped 3 feet, and it's like the lake dropped, and he's like, oh yeah, the wind came up and it
Yeah.
moved, it moved, and it dropped the lake 3 feet.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's
What are you talking
that's
about?
what I say too. I'm like, we're at the After Bay or
Yeah,
in Oroville and we're fishing that and I see Ken Ma from far away and I'm like, okay, well I'm kind of close. I mean not close, but I'm like kind of
right,
in the same area, but he's fishing actually a different area. He's like maybe deeper in the Tules
right.
and I think I'm doing the same thing as him. We're flipping and or punching and I'm like, why am I not catching these fish? So yeah, I think it's area. I think area has a lot to do with it. It's like in Oroville when we were there, it was like they're
Right.
going into that deeper back or further deep in the backwater there, just like Lake Martinez. It's these guys went in the backwaters. I didn't go in the backwaters. I didn't want to get hung up stuck back there, but
Mm.
these guys risked it and went back there and they caught fish where I was kind of like close, but not in those areas. So
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense or not, but yeah,
I'll
it's
tell you this: when you talk about Martinez, I'm in that same boat with you. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been there. I'm looking at water. We're driving through. Mark's driving his boat in there so we can get some camera shots. And we're driving through water that I could have reached out at any point and touched the bottom. It's like, wow, what are we in right now? And then all of a sudden you go to this backwater and it opens up and you're like, and there's a whole other lake back here. It
Yeah.
was some of the
See, I never
crazy.
made it far that far back.
It was just crazy to see some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But we're about midway in the show right now, and I want to kind of switch it up just a little bit here, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the BAM Trail. It's some of the things that you mentioned earlier in the show here was practice. The BAM Trail, you don't get practice, and
Right.
it's one of those things coming into this event. um Coming into this whole new thing, the whole new BAM trail, the way it's formatted, the way it's set up, the way, you got tourney X, and you've got, a couple ways to qualify, just regular traditional weight, the number of fish you catch, all that. I'd love to talk to you, pick your brain a little bit about a guy coming in that's brand new to it. How did you feel about all of this, the changes, and how do you feel about it going forward? I mean, you're going to go to the Super 60 next year. You're going to be fishing against some of the best fishermen in the entire West Coast, not just locally here. You're going to be fishing against some of the best now. They're coming out of the woodwork. They've seen what BAM's doing, and they're pretty impressed by it because the numbers that thing filled up in a heartbeat. What do you feel? How do
Oh
you
yeah.
feel about this whole thing going forward, and how the challenges of becoming a top pro on the West Coast, which is what you have done, and being out there having no practice, having tourney X, having just a regular tournament on top of everything else. How is all this playing out in your brain right now, man?
We're going to take a short commercial break and talk to you about one of our great sponsors, StoreQuest Self Storage. They're here to help you get your garage back. As an outdoor enthusiast, you have gear, lots of expensive gear, equipment, boats, trailers, and vehicles, probably all stored in your garage. You need a storage space that's easy to access, secure, and climate controlled. And that's where StoreQuest comes in. Head over to storequest.com. Plus, members receive an exclusive 10% discount with the offer code BAM10. That's BAM 10. StoreQuest is the official self-storage partner of the BAM Tournament Trail. Now, back to the BAM Pod.
First off, I want to say that, I mean, this last season, even though I didn't do that great, it was an awesome season. I mean, I learned a lot. I love the format. The format's pretty awesome because you can qualify for, day 3 championship day for the top 10 in 2 different ways, weight and, scoreable fish, scoreable catches. But I really like the format, and it took me a while to learn, like, okay, I should focus on maybe catching scoreable fish versus weight and this and that. And it took me a couple tournaments to try and figure that out. And not being able to practice kind of throws me off a little bit, but it's an even playing field because, I mean, no one can go down there 30 days into the tournament. So that's kind of a good thing. I kind of like that because it evens the playing field out a lot. But I mean, it hurt me for Martinez because I've never been there.
Right.
And I was, if I wanted to pre-fish it or go down there and learn the lake, I'd have to go down there 30 days before. And it was kind of a long drive, didn't do it. However, but that also evens the playing field for those that are coming from Arizona that never fished, say, Almanor or
Right.
Boardman or something like that. So it was a real fun year. Learned a lot. I mean, these guys that I fished against, I know we fish against ourselves basically, and we focus on competing against the fish almost, but
Right.
just being out there against all these guys are absolute dogs, man. You watch them work. You see Ish out there, Ken Ma, Conrad, just all those guys. I mean,
Right.
Nick Cloutier. I mean, those guys are like sticks. I mean, they're all good. Everybody's good out there. And I question myself. I'm like, oh man, I got to make this happen. I got to make that happen. So once something good starts happening with me when I'm out there, I'm like, okay, I can compete with these guys. So, but I learned a lot from them just watching them. and to me that's huge. I think of course, every tournament, every day I go out there and see these guys, I know I need to step my game up. And yeah, that's what I try to do, is try and make the right decisions when I'm out there, and do the best I can. But yeah, these guys are good. It's a great trail. I'm excited for this next year to see, these top 60. I looked at the list and I'm like going, these guys are coming from, all over the West Coast to fish this. So,
Hmm.
and Mark, Michael Bray, and the whole crew have done a phenomenal job with setting everything up. It's like everything's so professional, so easy. Um, so yeah, that's my take on that. I learned a lot, and it's to be able to compete at that high level. It's, to me, I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I think everybody has has said when I interview him on the show here is they want to compete against the best guys out there. And I feel like, Bam is giving that opportunity. I mean, you just named off some guys in Ishman Rowe, Nick Cloutier, Conrad Demekis, who's come out of nowhere, in my opinion, as a guy who's been on the West Coast a long time. He's not a guy that have seen coming. He came out and just showed off what he could do. And, I dubbed him the quiet assassin because of that very reason, man. He just sneaks up and just takes it from you. I mean, that's, you just don't see him coming. And all of a sudden it's like, how did he make another top 10? Holy moly, he's just good. A guy
Yeah, he's
like Cole
good. He is.
Pearson,
He is.
yeah,
He is silent, man. And yeah, like you said, Colby Pearson, even
I,
that guy, like he's from what, Washington or Oregon or something,
yeah,
and he
he's,
goes down to Martinez and crushes it, and it's just like, geez.
and then he came back and did it somewhere else too, because he did back to back tournaments where he won back to back and went for a three-peat out there. And it's crazy
Yeah,
that he comes back. He takes Martinez, he takes Almanor, and then he goes up and competes really good on at Boardman and almost takes that one. It was
yeah,
in
guy's
the
a
running
stud.
right to the end, and it's one of those guys that the West Coast has always put out big names. It's put out, the Skeet Reeses, the Gary Kleins, the, Ishman Rose, the Ken Maws and that sort of thing have been here and they've been out there and now they've, a lot of them have again been national. Um, even the Mark Lassane out there, the guy he's out there still competing. He can't get that quite out of his blood yet that he wants to be on that water just as much as anybody. And
Yeah,
there are some big names out there that are, coming from the West Coast, but now it's like we have our own brood tank. We've got this area, we've got this place in BAM that they can come out and these guys can really show off and highlight their names. And I think we just need to make everybody over here on the West Coast, if you're listening right now, make these guys household names. Understand who you're watching. Go out and see them. Come out and watch the weigh-ins. Come out and see what's going on. Come out on Championship Sunday and watch the top 10 guys walk away with big prizes this year. I mean, $50,000 up for a $2,500 entry fee is pretty good money to go walk away with. Um, and just we're trying to make them exciting. We're trying to make them great. They're televised. We got shows coming up. But Jim, I look at a guy like yourself who's coming up. You had a great 2023 year. You didn't think you had a great year in 2024, but you know what? For a lot of people, the year you had in 2024 on the BAM show, going against some of these top anglers, you had a great year, man. I mean, you had a really solid year. Like you said, you learned a lot, you got a lot, and now you're going into the Super 60. You're going to have a lot more, you got a lot more guys to go up. But there's a little bit more on the line now. I mean, you're going to have, there's a cut line, where that Super
yeah,
60 is all it's going to take. And that's what, Mark's limiting that field. And, the first year, I think we're probably going to go over it again, but then I think he's going to cut it and be really stringent on who he lets in, and you got to make it above that line, man. Um,
yep.
going forward with all these new things, are you learning strategy a little bit better? Are you learning how to, I guess, address when you have to make that decision? I mean, I feel, I say that going for weight is different than going for numbers, but I've been told that it's really not. The guys, I think it was Colby that said that. He said, the guys that are catching fish consistently, um, they're also catching size consistently. So, is that something you've
Right.
found? I mean, what is it that you've learned, being out there as far as your strategy? It's like, hey, you know what? I'm looking at Tourney X and I'm back by, 10 fish. I got to go catch 10 fish and get caught up, or you know what? Forget that. I'm going to go after just weight and just see if I can make it on weight. I mean, I don't think Tourney X doesn't say weight, right? They just say numbers. I don't get to see it, so I don't know.
I think it does show weight. It shows weight, like as far as what
Like
you
guesstimation.
put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like I believe if I look at it during the day, I'll see like say, um, Pilgrim say he's got 20 pounds.
Mm,
I think it'll show it, but I think that's his 20 pounds that he put in. It's not the actual weight at the scales.
right. He's
So
yeah,
like
just
you
what
said,
he's
a
guessing. So
guesstimation.
so is there
Yeah.
a strategy that you're learning? Is this something that is this one of the things that you've really learned this year about the whole process out there?
Yeah, and and I kind of listened to Ken Ma a little bit. He kind of
Mhm.
breaks it down. Like after each day, he'll be there saying, "Okay, I need to catch this many fish to make the cut, and or this much weight." And so I try and like learn from him, kind of like, I learned from him, like, okay, I need to do this. But I mean, to me, the goal is to catch fish, and hopefully, I'll catch a big one in the process of doing that, as far as weight goes. But I always try and catch numbers,
Hmm.
and it's it has to work out. I think it has to work out both ways. Um, so I've learned that is like just focus on catching fish, and if you catch big ones, you catch big ones. So that to me, that's what I got to do. And of course, and it's like a 14-inch limit, and like I was at Boardman, and all these guys are catching these fish over 14 inches that are scoreable. They're catching like 70 fish, 80 fish, and I'm catching 50 fish that are not scoreable. So I'm like, what is going on? So it's got to be the area. So I didn't know Boardman that great. I would move
Yeah.
to certain areas, and then I'd catch, a couple scoreables. And it's like, but my numbers weren't as high as all these other guys. So I'm like, if I find a fish and catch the scoreables, hopefully the size will come with it.
Okay. I think that's something I have it down here. Last year was the schedule that Mark put up, and everybody, it's like, oh, these are some good bodies of water, great place for going. But this year, there's new bodies of water, there's new things, there's new areas, there's new places. So every time it seemed,
Right.
I have a feeling that it's eventually going to come back. Like there's no Berryessa, there's so many different tournaments out there that you're not going to. So you're going to go to new ones
Right.
and see new, it's kicking off at Pedro. It's like, how does that make you feel, going into it, going, I don't get to see the same lake, so I don't get to gain knowledge of a lake over time. I mean, you can if you go out and just, you're personal fishing that way, obviously, which is, part of life, and that's a part of what you're going to get when you do, decide to go out and fish in general. But, you're talking about Folsom. Folsom's not on the list, but it's right in your
Right.
backyard, right? So,
Right.
how do you
Right.
kind of feel about that?
Yeah.
Having to learn all these new lakes and see new areas and travel and all. I mean, does it make it exciting again for you as far as fishing goes, or is it something that you're just like, I wish I was just going to the same place over and over and over again?
At Ford Fairfield, we'll make your ownership experience simple. Our simple price, simple process is designed to save you time by eliminating the back and forth. That means you'll always get our very best highly competitive offer right up front. No games, no gimmicks. Our goal? To provide you with an exceptional experience. Stop by or book your appointment today. Ford Fairfield, simple price, simple process.
No, I mean, as much as like, you're not comfortable with the lake, I like to put myself in these kind of uncomfortable positions to where okay, now I got to learn, like it's a challenge now. I got to learn Pedro per se. I've only been there 3 times. I
Mm,
just went last weekend and fun fished and trying to get to learn, trying to do research and learn this lake a little better. See what kind of weight is out there as far as when you do catch fish, or certain areas, as far as like, am I going to catch more scoreable fish here? Am I going for weight? Like, how, can I use that to my
Mhm.
advantage? But it's exciting for me. It's exciting to go to a different lake. That I mean, that just makes opens more doors up. I think more opportunities for you got some guys that are sticks out there that you're going to compete against.
Yeah.
However, it's um, to go out there and learn those, break those lakes down a little bit before the cutoff time, I think is good for me. So I need it. And if you want to compete against these guys, you got to be able to do it. So
Right.
if you want to do well at these lakes, I mean, you can't just expect to go there and uh and crush it and you've never been there. So um for me at least, I got to go practice and learn it and
Right.
check out areas and and just like Mojave, it's I never fished Mojave before.
Mhm.
Up to 2023 is the first year, or 2022 I fished it, and learned a lot. First time I went there, did good, and 2023 did real good, and um, I do okay there, and it's still exciting to go there and continue learning. Speaking of Mojave, we got Brian Smith, who's going to
Mm.
be part of the BAM thing, and he won the Open there, and um, I learned a lot from him just watching him fish out there, and so yeah, it's definitely exciting to go to these different lakes.
Yeah, I keep hearing his name pop up, and I feel like that's somebody that a lot of people are looking at to do well on the BAM Trail, but he's still got to come out and compete against all you guys, and uh, it kind of leads me to a question that I think is it's an interesting one. We all grew up, watching the Roland Martins, the Bill Dances, the Jimmy Houston's and that sort of thing out there. And now we're grown up and we're well, some of us are grown up, and we're out here and we have some of these new guys coming up. Who's those anglers nowadays that you look at and go, man, I love watching this guy fish, or I love seeing this guy fish, or and it doesn't have to be a West Coast guy. I mean, I'd like it if it was, but if it's anybody out there, is there a guy that you're just like, this is somebody that I kind of idolize now as a grown up human being man, this is the guy that I kind of geek out on.
um, I don't want to give. I'd say like out here, probably Bryant Smith. I mean, he fished the elites. He
Hmm.
fishes the elites too. He does good. He does good out here, like pretty much everywhere he goes. Um, Nice guy, great fisherman. Has a lot of knowledge.
Hmm.
And he's a friend of mine too. But at the same time, yeah, he's good. I like watching him fish. Who else do I like? Uh, I like to see John Pearl, dude. Um,
Yeah.
that guy on Clear Lake is just crushing it. He crushes it everywhere too, though. He's a great fisherman. So there's a lot of guys. I mean, Ken Ma, and
Right.
I like watching him fish, and they get the job done. So um, to me, that's huge, and great group of guys. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I watch some of these guys, all of you guys, honestly. I think that's probably one of the best parts of being on the West Coast right now is the change that's happening out here. Seeing some of the amazing fishermen that I've fished against, I guess, for years, and the people that I've idolized and looked at. I mean, it's just there's so many out here. I mean, the Ishman Rose, the Ken Maws, the Greg Gutierrez, the Zach Thompson, guys like that who are just, Nick Cloutier, all these names out here that we have who have done so much and are so good in this sport, and it's fun to watch what they do, how they do it. And then watching some of the new guys come up, the Colby Pearsons, the Demekis, the even, it's been fun to watch it, and it's going to be interesting going forward. I hope we can really grow you guys out a little bit more and make it more of a popular sport here on the West Coast, and bring in some good sponsors that are. I mean, we have some amazing sponsors now, but it'd be nice to really have some other ones come out, see what you guys are doing, see the way that this sport grows, and I think it'd be great. And anyone listening out there, the biggest support you can do is come out and support us. Come watch these guys fish. Come watch them weigh in. Come watch it. Watch the TV shows. Watch the live stuff that's going on, and just grow this sport out here on the West Coast and understand how pure and great this sport is. It really really is a top sport. Um, Jim, we got a little bit of time left here on the show. And this is the time that I basically turn this over to you, man. I say, hey, everybody just listen to some of the knowledge you gave up the first half hour of this show. We talked about A-rigs and a couple other baits, but just mainly the A-rig, focusing on that. And you are obviously somebody who really loves throwing that and does that. But, tell a little bit about yourself, man. Talk about Jim Vretzos and who you are and what you've got and how people can follow you, how they can get a hold of you, how they can just be a part of your fishing experience and your fishing life going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, a little bit about me is, I have two kids. I have two daughters that are all grown up now, went through college, played sports in college, etc. And I'm married to my beautiful wife. I live close to Folsom Lake. I go fishing a lot, and I own my own business. Have owned my own business for 29 years now. So it's been quite a long time. It's a private security company. We provide security services for businesses, private companies, uniform guard services, executive protection, corporate security, and so forth. And we've done very well in Northern California. We've kind of expanded into Central California now a little bit. We have some clients down there that we provide security services for. So things are going good on the work side. Manage it pretty good, and now it's time to focus on myself and fishing. When I'm not dealing with any of that stuff. But yeah, you can follow me on at Jim Vretzos Fishing on Instagram and Jim Vretzos Fishing on Facebook. Try to get the media that you guys provide is all that outreach is goes pretty far. It's pretty good. So yeah, thank you for all that. Thank you for all that you guys do. I'm very appreciative, and I'm sure every other angler is as well.
Well, it's definitely our pleasure to watch you guys come out and compete out there. It's great to see this sport growing a little bit more on the West Coast. Having great anglers like yourself out there doing this, man, it is amazing. I love to talk to guys that are coming up new, to the Super 60, to the new BAM Trail. It's all new, but there's some there's some names who've been out there for a while. And going forward, watching guys like yourself who, you're a business owner just like everybody else out there. Not business owner wise, but I mean, as far as you're just a guy out there like everybody else, you're a business owner and you do, your work, you go to work every day, you raise your family, all this. And now you're out there just trying to be the best angler you can be on the water. And, looking forward, you're not going to quit your job or anything and take over fishing, are you?
No, absolutely not. It would be nice to,
right?
It would be nice to, but I mean, something's got to pay the bills, and it's probably not going to be fishing, but
not yet.
We'll take it as far as we can. Yeah, not yet. You never know.
Not yet. But you go out there and you have a couple good years, and you never know. Maybe the wife says, "I don't need all that stuff. You just go fish." It probably won't
go
happen.
Fish. Yeah.
But hey, Jim. Mostly, thanks, man, for doing the show. I really appreciate it. I always love to get some guys out there talking about new things. The A-rig is, like I said, is one of those ones that I think baffles people even to this day. It's one of those ones that people just aren't comfortable with or they don't understand. And hopefully maybe they gained a little bit of that knowledge from you and how they can, approach it and go out there and catch some fish on a bait that is definitely one hard one to learn and have confidence in because you're throwing a big – it's just a big old bunch of bait out there, right? So, thanks for tuning in and talking about that.
Yeah, just go throw it, and now's the time. So, yeah, get out there and just go throw it until you get bit, and you'll love it, and you'll continue throwing it, I'm sure.
All right. All right, everybody. Well, thank you, Jim, for doing the show. And everybody, thank you for tuning in and listening to us. I hope you learned a lot. I hope Jim gave you the information you're looking for. And you got to hear about what he feels like coming into this new BAM trail going forward. And we're going to continue to talk about that. I really want to raise some awareness for that. The BAM trail is a great trail that's out here right now. And we are doing our best to make this West Coast a new mecca of bass fishing, and having great anglers out there like Jim Vretzos that you guys can follow, meet, come out and see. We've done meet and greets and everything else. He's out there at those as well. Come on out. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and we will see you on the next show in just a couple weeks. Thanks so much.
See you guys.